Squatting for a lot of us doesn't come naturally for whatever reason. I've spoken about this in the past. Our daily lives, we spend too much time sitting. As we were kind of growing up, our mobility got worse and worse and worse. And now, let's say we're in our 20s and 30s and 40s or whatever, and we're trying to mobilize, and some of that tissue is basically like concrete. Very, very hard to kind of ambulate, mobilize some of those joints. And so when you kind of first attempt to do a squat, the first thing that kind of jumps out is, my God, my ankles are shot. I know that for a fact because I've been there, and I've gone to extreme lengths to kind of try to mobilize my ankles. In fact, around the time that I had my first serious ankle injury, when I kind of fractured the base of fifth metatarsal, I was actually going bonkers on my ankles. I was stretching my ankles a lot. I was doing all sorts of voodoo flossing, distraction, banded distractions, all sorts of this. I was trying to do everything and anything to mobilize my ankle. And then what did I do? I went to play basketball, and my ankles were so unstable that I ended up rolling my ankle really, really badly, and I fractured one of the bones in the foot. So you could say, there's got nothing to do with that. Well, I like to think so, that me trying to mobilize the hell out of that joint destabilized it. I basically took away some of those defensive mechanisms that the joint originally has, because I was trying to kind of mobilize it, stretch it, and all whatever. It's very, very difficult to stretch tendons, to stretch ligaments. Those things are not supposed to stretch. So having that said, I know what you're feeling. I know exactly where you're coming from. But hear me out. In this video, I'm going to show you a few profile shots of me squatting. Side views, side perspectives. You will see my mechanics. No, it's not, Jian Yun Lu. It's not Tian Tao. It's not Clarence Kennedy. It's not Klokov. It's nothing spectacular. The reason why I made this video the way I did is because I want to make an argument to you guys that the ankle is not the problem here. Now, you will see coming up some of these shots that my knee does not travel over my toes. If it does, it is very, very minimal. Very, very minimal. What is happening and what is allowing me to squat to that depth is my hip mobility. Now, you can search all these things up on YouTube. You can do Google searches about internal, external rotation, whatever. Now, I don't have fantastic internal rotation either. I don't have fantastic external rotation either. What I do have is I have good hip flexion. Now, if you think about it, there's all sorts of rotation forces happening in the hip. But what we really, really need is hip flexion. The ability to bring your knee up to your chest. That's what the squat is, man. That's exactly what the squat is. So the poorer mobility you have in that knee, in that hip flexion, the worse you're going to be when you load the bar up. So in the past, what I've done is I have literally taken snippets of time, periods, blocks, whatever you want to call it, and I've attacked certain parts of my body. I started off with the ankles, right? And then I was forced to stop working on my ankles because I rolled them, and then I rolled them again, and spent a lot of time away from the squat. Then I kind of moved on to the tibialis anterior. Knees over toes guy always talks about that. And when you see his squatting ability, his knee doesn't travel over his toes humongously either, right? And even though he does a lot of anterior tibialis work, the shin work. I've done a lot of calf work. I've done a lot of hamstring work, quad work, glute work, internal, external rotation, all sorts of stuff you want to think of it. In my experience, the best thing that's ever worked for me is when I add length into the posterior chain. So when I do these things that you're seeing me do right now, good mornings, when I do RDLs, when I do a lot of deadlifts, cheap volume deadlifts, lots of reps of deadlifts, somehow, some way, my posterior chain gets looser, right? It gets looser because of the volume that I'm putting it through. There's blood in there, the fascia relaxes, the muscles get stronger, it releases a little bit, and I seem to squat better. Now, I've said this year many times, and a lot of you guys have picked up the GHD back raises, the good mornings, the RDLs, the deadlifts, and you guys have come back to me and said that works really well, and it feels like I can squat better. You have not done any direct ankle work, but what is happening here, because of a thing called the fascia, it connects our whole body together, especially the posterior chain. You guys have seen people use lacrosse balls, tennis balls. You've seen them roll their feet on that ball, and then they do a retest of the squat mobility, and they've improved. Nothing else. They've done nothing else other than roll a freaking ball at the bottom of their foot. All of a sudden, they're like squatting a lot better. What is happening there? What's happening is that you are hitting a trigger point in the bottom of your foot, in the sole part of your foot, that is releasing some of that fascia, and it's working upstream, releasing the Achilles, the calf, the hamstring, the butt, everything's releasing. So when you do a standing, bent over, kind of straight leg reach test, you're better purely by doing that. So when we do good mornings, we basically stretch out the entire posterior chain, and we are doing it loaded. It's kind of like a PNF stretch. At the bottom, you're loaded, and you're going as far as you can go with the hamstrings, and you do reps in that. That kind of makes me squat a little bit better every single time. Today, I've come in very, very stiff because I've done a lot of posterior work, and it's all kind of like jacked up, and it's all sore. I've got DOMs in my hamstrings like you wouldn't believe. It's very, very sore, but still, I did some good mornings, warmed them up, and all of a sudden I can sweat a little better. So a lot of you guys have had a lot of conversations to me, and the first thing, and I don't blame you, man. I honestly don't blame you. I've been there. You say, I need to work on my ankles. And then you go and you work on your ankles, and the very next morning you wake up, you're back to square one. It's like your body's just screwed you over and it said, screw you. You're not getting progress. So you think to yourself, I've just spent a couple of hours yesterday working on my ankles, and I've woken up today like I've done nothing. What's happening there? It's because the fascia just tightens back up overnight and you're back to square one. You cannot stretch something that is weak. And for a lot of us, we are weak in the posterior chain because we sit our ass on the chair too long. It's just the way it is, man. We live in first world countries. Some of us do. Some of you guys don't. For you guys that don't live in first world countries, you're probably better off because you're doing stuff. You're actually moving better. So check some of these clips that I've done. Maybe you can't see it in this one as well, but in the following ones, you'll see that my knee does not travel massively over my toes. It's not like I have fantastic dorsiflexion. Yes, it's okay, but that is not the determining factor of my squatting. It is very hard to see what's happening, but like my hip is mobile, and I'm comfortable getting into a hip flexion position. Maybe this is a little better one because you can see you can see me. You can see the bottom of my feet. You can't really see the top of my body, but when I squat down, you'll see what's up. So you will see, just pay attention on my knee and pay attention to where the toes end, with the shoe ends. And you'll see that it's not fantastic. Like my knees are not flying over like crazy. I've seen some dudes bloody, like, it's just like you can put a whole hand length of knee travel, beyond the toes. So what am I saying here? I'm saying to you is stop wasting your time mobilizing your ankles directly. Don't do that. Take it from me, it's not working. When you've finally understood that, then start working on your posterior chain. Work on your hamstrings like no tomorrow. If you're already squatting ass to grass and you're kind of going through the motions, doing that, then you need to do stuff for the posterior chain, because if that hamstring gets freaked out and weak and short, you're going to start having butt wink because it's pulling on the pelvis, pulling it down. You're going to start having butt wink, and you're going to start being pulled on the other side as well, which is the calf, which pulls on the Achilles, and when it screws your dorsiflexion. So see what's happening here? Our tight hamstring is like in the middle. It has the ability to pull on your pelvis and pull on your calf, which therefore pulls on your Achilles and locks up your ankle. So even though people have proved that the hamstring basically does nothing in the squat, I would say that if the hamstring is not healthy, it's going to screw you. It might not be active below parallel, but it's certainly active above parallel. It's a hip extensor. It works with the glute. So above 90 degrees knee bend, your hamstrings and your glutes basically take over the hip extension role that the adductor does below 90 degrees. So it has a role, it's not really active at the bottom. So you need to have the hamstring healthy, long, strong. It will release then, it will have more length in it. It will release that butt wink, it will release that calf, and all of a sudden you start squatting better. Take it from me, you guys know that I'm not in the business of kind of screwing you guys over. I generally love when you guys give me feedback, and you're like, man, the stuff that you said to me, it's worked, I'm happy, thank you for, not wasting my time and whatever. That makes me feel good. So if I can help you out, that's fantastic. And some of you guys might be in a different boat. Some of you guys might have fantastic ankles, like you can basically touch the knee on the floor with your heel on the ground, right? Some of you guys are gifted like that. For you guys, you probably don't have trouble squatting. But for a lot of us guys that have what seems to be jacked up ankles, man, I've been there, I've scratched my head, and I've never understood what the hell is going on. Why am I so jacked in the bottom kind of the ankles portion? I wish I could do a study. I don't have the means, But everyone that has really poor ankle mobility, I want to take those people, I want to do a study, I want to see how strong they are in the posterior chain. I really want to see how long and strong the hamstrings and the glutes are. So I just want to do a reach test, standing reach test. That will be my study. Get people of all sorts of measurements and sizes and whatever. Get them to test the dorsiflexion. I would test the dorsiflexion, and then I would test their reach tests. How far can they reach towards their toes with the legs being straight? Because I feel like there's a correlation there. There's a correlation there, and I feel like if you add strength to the posterior chain, that will add length, and dorsiflexion improves. I hope that's helped, guys. Like I said, I know where you guys are. Some of you guys are struggling with the mobility. You can't get depth. Hopefully this video has helped. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.